Big Sil's National Football Show. We appreciate you coming aboard with us here. Josh Sweat's playing great ball again. He is your best defensive football player. Can Carter overtake him? Yes. Carter has more natural talent than Josh Sweat. But let me put it to you this way. Hey, by the way, how old is Josh Sweat? How old is Josh Sweat here? I want to show you something here. You got 20, 21. And how old is Sweat? He's 26. Fuck. So you got a 26-year-old edge rusher who's one of the absolute best. And the only reason he's a first-round draft talent. And the only reason he went later in the draft is because of the catastrophic injury he had in high school. That guy is Brian Burns 2.0, maybe a tick down. You got Brian Burns on your D-line. So when you want to make a comparison to somebody, that dude is Brian Burns. So you could have a 26-year-old Brian Burns, Josh Sweat, a 21-year-old Jalen Carter, and a 22-year-old Jordan Davis. Three of your front four guys. You go into the draft next year and replace them with another end. Man, that's setting it up. That could be the best defensive line in pro football by the end of the year, potentially. With Bradbury, Reed coming back, and quarterbacks releasing quick, do you more man press? What would you do? I'll get to that. With them coming back. That's a great question. But look at your Nolan Smith. When we find him, we'll see where he is. But I'll tell you something here, and I'm going to say this to you, and you guys can sue me for being prisoner of the moment. Many of you do anyway. I think you got an upgrade at D-tackle right now compared to a year ago. Here's why. You're getting pressure and you're stopping the run. Last year, you got pressure. Couldn't stop the run. I get it, man. Minnesota has no running game. But New England does. Their whole formula is off of running the ball. Even back to Brady, play action. Even back to Brady, it started off the run game. Dude, Milton Williams is playing better than Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh did. You're not, when you watch him, you know, he's one of the highest graded out D tackles in the league coming off the bench. I think he's playing, I think he could start on 75% of the teams in this league. I mean, I think the strength of the team is going from the O-line to the D-line, and it's moving that way. Now, when Reddick gets his shit together off his injuries, I mean, they're really – see, you're getting hit in the head twice, where last year you only got hit in the head once. You could run the ball on the Eagles last year. Were they 16th? The year before that, 22. Now you're 1. And the majority of your pressures – they're coming from, right? They're coming from your defensive tackle position. So that's a lot of youth there. That's what I like about it. What I like about it is how young you are. 26, 21, 20. Then you got Smith. We don't even know yet what that thing is. That is a lot of youth. It's a lot of youth, man. 26, 20, 21. You're going to replace Brandon Graham. You get another defensive end. I'd like to have that kid. I tell you, you know who would be perfect for the Eagles? Hey, and by the way, Josh Sweat is playing, what is it, 71, 72% of the snaps They're counting and relying on him a shitload. Okay? Riley goes, Big Sills, love the show, hate your show all in the same time. That's a perfect viewer. Thank you, Riley. That is my favorite viewer. Riley, thank you. Favorite viewer. Hey, I want to tell you guys something. This is kind of off the record here a little bit. Seems Niner fans in here. Get before the gay. I like that, Maniac. So hey, Tone, check this out. So let's see. I've been off the air now in San Diego since, let's see, I think 19, 20, 21, 22, going on 5 years now. And I guess Dan Lebitard and this guy was a host, Darren Smith or somebody in San Diego, were bringing us up going, holy shit, Sileo's making a comeback. Well, I didn't really go anywhere. But because of you guys, The Rock, Boomer Esiason, all the people that come on the program, they're coming after you now. That means you're doing it right. You guys. That means you guys are doing it right. You're doing it right. So I guess, I listened to it too. I did. So I'm guilty. I listened to the segment, Dan Lebitard. And then this kid in San Diego and this kid in Miami, another guy in Dallas is bringing up that all these people that come on, why do they go on with him? Didn't we destroy him? Hey, didn't we destroy him? Mm-mm. You guys... Congratulations. Boomer was great yesterday, too. By the way, you could tell he's a gigantic. He is a gigantic Jalen Hurts fan. You can see that. Trevon Diggs, ACL tear, out for the season. Wow. Enormous loss for the Cowboys. Enormous loss. Will Jerry make a trade? What team right now is going to be out of it that needs draft picks that would trade a corner like Patrick Surtain to get draft choices so that they can draft a quarterback next year? The Denver Broncos. If I was Jerry Jones, I would call the Denver Broncos and try to do whatever I could to get Patrick Surtain. The Broncos are going nowhere. They need draft picks. They want to move off of Russell Wilson. You've got to start thinking, what would Jerry do? Because he knows and he feels he's so close and his time is running out. You go to teams right now where you think, you see, it's too early. After week 3, is it true he's out for the season? If he's out for the season, Jones will make a trade for an elite corner. They're not going to just not. Now, Chris Albright goes, you're not getting Surtain. If you're Denver, you need draft picks to dig yourself out of the hole you're in. You surrendered first-round picks for Russell Wilson and the coach. They're not going to continue to go down the line with Russell Wilson. They're going to bench him and then move on from him. He is currently undergoing MRI, but all believe he tore the ACL and is out for the year. You're not looking at this right. What's the point of having Patrick Surtain on my team or any of these other guys if I'm 0-7? What's the point? They need to rebuild quickly. Wow. He just signed a huge contract in the offseason, too. So that means you got him for – you'd have to move your cap around for Dallas. That means you'd have to – well, wait a minute. Dak Prescott's not owed any money next year. They haven't redone a contract yet. So there's no guaranteed money for Prescott next year. There's no – I mean, there's no guaranteed money. You can move more money around, but then you still got to pay Micah Parsons. Wow. Diggs out for the year. Look, and by the way, look at how that changes now teams' fortunes with injuries. One injury. Hey, wait a minute. Is it too early, though, because it's the Cowboys and Diggs is out? Is it too early to say that they're not a favorite to win a Super Bowl? Isn't it too early? Isn't it too early? You don't know what the Cowboys are going to do tomorrow. Isn't it too early? What if they make a trade for a big-time cornerback? I'll tell you, hey, why do you guys think the Atlanta Falcons are looking better? Do you know who the second best defensive football player has been so far in the first 2 weeks? Do you guys know who the second best football player defensively has been in the NFL? Do you know who it's been? Take a guess. I know everything has been all over Micah Parsons. That's right. Just a thought. Jesse Bates. He has been a force down there. Jesse Bates has been the second best defensive football player in the National Football League over the last 2 weeks. I think Carter's ranked 10th. He's second to Micah Parsons. Atlanta has changed their fortunes by adding one. Cincinnati, if you watch their games, they're getting killed in the middle of the field too, like the Eagles are getting killed. Okay? Hey, I got to tell you, man, some of you guys talking shit on people getting injured and hurt. I'd watch the karma out on you, Hoss. Don't ever wish for somebody to get hurt. That's not cool. I'm not saying that, hey, that you don't benefit from the misfortune. That's one thing to present it like that. Hey, look, this helps us, them having one of their great players off, but saying that's karma because he plays in Dallas, I don't know. Speaks to your character. Speaks to who you are. Now, I agree with this comment. Hey, Sills, you got to admit, Diggs not being in that secondary, that totally benefits the other teams in the division, like the Commanders, and the Eagles. It's got to, right? Of course. But to go, hey, that's karma for you, man, for being a Cowboy. You should blow your knee out. I don't know. By the way, okay, I agree, Dan. You basically wished an injury on Dean. See how a guy here lies? Prime example of it. I wished an injury on Nakobe Dean. I've never wished an injury on anybody in my life. I don't hate people like that. I would never, on one of the NFL Player Association, the only person that's ever wished injury on another player that's an NFL Player Association member or did nothing about it was Drew Brees. He's the only man that never looked out for his brotherhood when he was a member of the New Orleans Saints. Drew Brees is the only one that could have done something about Bountygate with Kurt Warner and Brett Favre when they were targeting him for cheap shots for Bountygate. Coach was fired or suspended. General manager was suspended. They lost draft choices. They suspended the entire front office, Mickey Loomis, because they knew what they were doing. And Drew Brees said nothing about it to his friend, Brett Favre or Kurt Warner. If you were any kind of guy, you would have went, hey, look, man, I'd watch out for my knees and such in this thing. These guys are coming after you. Drew Brees didn't look out for him. I'm not saying he wished it, but he knew it. He knew it. Saying that Dean was injury prone is a fact. It is a fact. He is injury prone. He is injury prone. He came into the league injured. Sills, are you changing your Super Bowl pick? Not just yet. Bills and Cowboys still. Still there. Okay? Still there with them. Yeah, Sean Payton, asterisk. This guy knew he was injuring NFL football players on purpose. I hate that scumbag. Well, he was a scab anyway during the 87 strike. I hate Sean Payton because he was targeting NFL players and injuring them on purpose. That guy, if you notice too what's going on, it's Russell Wilson's fault. And he's throwing shade at Nathaniel Hackett still today. That guy's not a good coach. And I don't think he's a good person. I don't think Sean Payton's a good person, or I don't think he's a good coach. I think he's overrated. I think Drew Brees carried him. He got lucky with Brees falling into his lap and getting healthy and turning into the player he was. I think anybody could have won with Drew Brees. Brees was going to not be denied. Sean Payton is a nobody. 9-7 in the postseason. McCarthy's a better coach. McCarthy's a better coach. Totally. Thanks, Danny. I think he's smug, and I think he cried and he moaned and he bitched when he was in New Orleans over the Rams game and the Vikings game. So he thought he'd call to the front office. I think Sean Payton, I'll tell you what, if Nathaniel Hackett has been a disaster in Denver, you're paying Sean Payton $20 million. Oh, I see. It's Russell Wilson's fault. Okay? JM goes, Slayer disagrees with you about Payton. Well, they're 0-2. You could disagree with me all you want. It must be Russell Wilson's fault. Well, let me ask you this. Flat out here. You think Russell Wilson can play himself out of the Hall of Fame by the end of the year? Because of what the media is going to do and what Sean Payton's going to blame? Pretty soon, Sean Payton's not going to have anybody to blame. You think Russell Wilson could play himself out of the Hall of Fame by the end of the year? Yes or no? I think he can. I think the media today is so strong and powerful. Fox backs Sean Payton. They love him. You know, Danny Dimes' primetime record is 1-10. Danny Dimes. You invested all that money in that shit, dude. Unbelievable. Russell Wilson will play himself out of Canton by the end of the year if it continues to trend like this, because the media will see to it. I mean, Tony Romo right now is being considered for the Pro Football Hall of Fame because he's on television, because he's a media guy. Tony Romo has a better chance of getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame than Donovan McNabb, and McNabb did more. Think about that. He's CBS's prime guy. Jerry Jones is going to push him. You think there's any coincidence all the Cowboy guys that are in prime seats when it comes to media? Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Tony Romo. Isn't Jason Garrett also on the Sunday broadcast? So you got 4 Dallas Cowboy guys. Jimmy Johnson, You got 5 Dallas Cowboy guys in prime chairs on NFL shows around the country on Saturdays, Thursdays, and Monday night. Tony Romo has a shot. Moose, too. That's right. He's on the second team. That's right. Moose is on the second team for Fox. We're the Eagle guys. Don't you see what's crazy about the Eagle fans? That's how they get to you with all the Cowboy faces. Shady McCoy is on FS1. Who else? No one. No one. Look at all the Dallas Cowboy guys that are in media chairs. Whew. Man. Crazy. McNabb's got a gig with who? What's McNabb's gig? I'm not talking local radio. Okay? I'm not talking. Jerry Jones has a show on local radio twice. You know, he does a show twice a week, beginning of the week and at the end of the week. Okay? Eagles have nobody to represent them. Nobody. McNabb was in a scale. Wait a minute. Well, you can't count. You can't count Michael Vick. You can't count Michael. Oh, Outkick. That's right. That's right. He's on Outkick with Clay Travis's Outkick. That's a pretty big platform. That's a pretty big platform. Yeah, man. That's a good platform. That's a good gig. Yeah, he'll be on. Yeah, okay. I'll probably have to take a listen to that to see how he is. Yeah, man. That's a good platform with Clay Travis. He's got a ton of people that watch that stuff. Yeah, he does. Anthony goes, who cares? That's why Jalen Hurts is not looked at as any kind of face of any league and never will be. The face of the league right now is, and I'll make a point to you on this. You know who the face of the league is right now? As much as you think it's Patrick Mahomes, he's the player of the league. The face of the league right now is Dak Prescott. I think Jalen Hurts. What do you talk about every day? You don't talk about Patrick Mahomes every day. You talk about Dak Prescott every day. Who's the face of political commentary in America today? It's Donald Trump. It's not Joe Biden. It's not Schumer. It's not any of those guys. It's Donald Trump. Like it or not. Hate him, love him. Same with Dak. Dak Prescott is the face of the NFL. You don't have to like him. He's the most talked about player. It's not just Skip Bayless. He's the most talked about player in American sports. Here are your number one talked about guys in sports. LeBron, Dak, Patrick, Shohei Ohtani, but now he's hurt. Who else? Steph? Nobody in hockey. Aaron Judge? Yankees are in last. I haven't heard really a lot from him today. Can you imagine if the Cowboys were in last place? They'd still, you see, you got to remember something about polarizing. If Dak Prescott is 0-2 or 2-0, it doesn't matter. Deion Sanders? Yeah, Deion right now is just, I wonder how that's going to look when he's 3-2. I hope it stays at a fever pitch. Best thing I've seen in a long time. And I'm going to make the point to you. Like Jalen versus Dak, you'll never be in a conversation where you're going to compare those two guys. And the only way you can compare them is obviously what we talked about at the beginning of the program. Jalen's got one more chip than what Dak has. You know what that is? He's been to a Super Bowl. He's won an NFC title. No doubt about it. I think those are huge. I do. But everywhere else, he beats him in everything. He does. I mean, even against the team, this guy has owned the NFC East. But he's the Cowboys, and it's Dak. And let me put this out there to you too. Let me show you how important polarizing is. Okay? What's the number one sports story right now? What do you think is the number one sports story right now? This ain't about media relevance. Yes, it is, because it's perception on how your quarterback's looked at. Right now, if you listen to any show around the country, people will say your offense doesn't look very good. It's not really that true. It's stumbling a little bit. It's not doing what it did a year ago, but I wouldn't categorize it like most people do. Hey, by the way, I'm tempered compared to what others are. Would you not say that, Tone? Nationally, I'm more tempered about your offense than what I think it's going to get fixed in a way. If they get out of his way, then what the national people are like, new coordinators, it's just not getting out to a good start. When you listen to these guys, you're like, that's not really kind of the truth there, but it is a little bit. They're going against better coordinators. You really don't watch the team that much. Coach Prime, Colorado. That's right. Get this. To show you how perception can change and how it's important and how you look at a player or a team, all you have to do is this. What team this year is going for something historical that hasn't happened in generations and no one's talking about it? What is the number one thing that's going on, Maniac, this year that is easily one of the most historic things in sports history? And no one is bringing it up. And I don't hear anyone talking about it. And I don't hear anyone saying anything about it because of what Coach Prime, the Cowboys, all of that. What is the number one? And it just shows you. The Eagles can win all those games. No one's going to look at you in a light like they do. And that's why Dak is the face of the NFL. He's the face of the NFL. Thank you, Bob. Georgia's going for an unprecedented three-peat in national championships. Has anyone brought that up? Is anyone even talking about it? The center of the universe is in Boulder, not in Athens. I mean, you're going for 3 straight national championships, and it's an afterthought. It's an afterthought. Do you actually think Colorado could, if you played Colorado versus Georgia, what would happen? 55-10. People would be hurt severely. Georgia would rip that team a new one. And it's not because they don't have talented players in Colorado on offense. That defense would get destroyed. And that O-line with those Georgia Bulldog guys, they would crush Shedeur Sanders. They would kill that team. It'd be unfair to schedule it, actually. I mean, but that's not the story. Okay? That's not the story. The story, NFL-wise, is in Dallas. And now with Diggs, Jerry Jones, get this, and look what Eagle fan tore his ACL. That's enormous news now. Will Dallas still be the favorites to win? It's Dallas. Who said Dallas was the favorite to win the Super Bowl anyway? By the way, I got them losing it. I don't have them winning it. Hey, just to keep score here, I don't have the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. It's just so you can keep that in there. Yeah. I just keep that in there. Sills is taking Dak over the Birds. Everyone does. Arthur, I'm not buying the hype. I'm buying the record. I'm buying what he does against you. Dak Prescott versus the Eagles, there's no hype involved in that. There's actual games played. 11 of them. You're making it sound like it's hype. When the Cowboys play the Eagles, that's not hype. That's fact. 8 wins, 3 losses. 3-8 versus Dak. That's you. 1 game versus Jalen. I thought Jalen in 2021, didn't he play? He played 1 last year and then 1 the year before. Isn't Jalen's record 1-1? Is Jalen's record 1-1? Because didn't the Eagles not play all their starters in that 2021 game at the end of the year? Or did he play in that game? I don't remember. Come on, Sills, what? Come on, Sills, what? You want me to lie about the 8-3 record? Okay. Maxon. Jalen's 1-2 versus him, is it? I thought he was 1-1. Okay. What about Dallas versus the? I'm not talking about Dallas versus the Niners. I'm talking about Dallas versus you. Nate Sudfeld. Don't worry, Jerry will mess it all up eventually. Damn, bro. Hey, Ro. You always have a go-to, don't you? Jerry. Hey, Ro. Ro. Hey, that's you sound like Tone, man, because Tone goes like this. Cowboys could, hey, right, Tone? According to Tone, man, Cowboys could be 16-1. They get to the postseason, it won't matter. They'll get beat 14-27. It's just who they are. I don't care what their record is, man. Because the Cowboys is it's a true comment, man. They got to get away from themselves. They got to get over themselves. Regular season champs. Big Sills, why is Dallas beating Eagles? Parsons, we figured out how to get Parsons out of the game. Well, I'll tell you what, with that offensive line, the way it's pass protecting and your back's pass protecting, you'll get your quarterback killed in that game against Dallas. They're playing really well. They are. They're defensive. The kid Parsons is playing well right now. Hey, by the way, that comment that Boomer Esiason made about Michael Parsons looking like Lawrence Taylor, Seth Joyner jumped on my Twitter and went, come on, man. I was like, I didn't say it. I didn't say he was LT. I didn't say he was LT. Boomer said he was LT. I never said that. You would never hear me saying that. No way. We go at Parsons, and yes, Parsons is playing lights out. Hurts is 2-2 against the Dallas Cowboys. I thought it was something like that. Either way, still early in his process yet, too. What you don't want is Dallas getting both them wins this year, because then he's 10-3 versus you. Oh, that I wouldn't want. MRI confirmed, Diggs out. Wow, was that kill? Torn ACL. Now, all the media attention is on Dallas all week long for that air. Let's see. You got to start thinking about guys in the league. Let's see. Let's see. Guys in the league. Let's see here. Guys in the league. This is top 10 cornerbacks NFL. Okay. With the Jalen Ramsey's hurt, correct? He's still hurt with the Dolphins. Alexander with the Packers. J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn. Would the Panthers give J.C. Horn up? He's only been there since 2021. That guy only allowed 28 completions last year. This is my Bledsoe list. He allowed only 28 completions last year. Holy shit. Man, J.C. Horn, Panthers. What a superstar. Doubt you give that guy up. And if you do, you're talking big first round. That's a first rounder you're surrendering. Marlon Humphrey? No way. But DJ Reed, the Jets? No way. Alexander, Packers? Ramsey's on IR. Patrick Surtain is based. Let's see. Jets aren't giving Gardner up. I think Jerry Jones is going to target Surtain. Isn't that the guy that he wanted in the draft to cut? Hey, Tone, isn't this how they got Michael Parsons? Because Surtain was picked up by the Broncos. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the Eagles and the Cowboys made a change in the draft order. And then they took Devontae. And then they took Parsons because the Cowboys got outdone by the Broncos because the Broncos were targeting Patrick Surtain from Alabama. Isn't that how that worked out? Okay, so that's somebody they love. And the amount of draft choices that they have given up for Russell Wilson and for the coach. Remember, they had to surrender a first rounder for Sean Payton, too. Surtain got picked by the Broncos. Cowboys wanted Surtain and settled for Parsons after swapping picks with the Eagles. Something else you got to look at here for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to do something. They're not going to sit back. They feel they're too close. Jerry's going to panic. This is where Howie doesn't. You know, can I tell you something? This could be the season here. One shitty move by the Cowboys. Remember what you guys were remember what you guys were talking about? Remember what you were talking about? Jerry will do something. Well, Jerry has a chance here. What's the Dallas Cowboys salary cap number? The Cowboys have $16.65 million in cap space. How much does Patrick Surtain make in 2023 Broncos? He makes $12 million. Around 17, I think, with a bonus. They could fit him in. And restructure Zach Martin. And remember something. They don't owe Dak anything next year. They have to do a contract negotiation with him. Now they got Parsons coming up in 23 also. Cowboys currently estimate cap space is 13.9. Surtain, am I right, Tone? Surtain's like 16.75 from what I thought I saw. real quick. Now there could be a $5 million bonus in there, and bonuses could be spread out and deferred according to the collective bargaining agreement. So in base salary, I thought I saw 16.75. So you'd have to restructure around $3 million off of Zach Martin and some other guys on that team. So the Cowboys can make that work. Now, again, money's got to be moved around for Parsons next year, because Parsons is going to demand $30 million. And you got to remember something. Then you're with Dak. Are you giving Dak $55 million? Or are you moving on from him? That's a big, this is a big moment here for Dallas. This is a big moment here. Surtain is in year 3 of his 4-year, $20.9 million rookie deal. Wow. He's totally affordable. He's totally affordable. And you get him on another year on the rookie deal. Then you could pick up the contract also. Get this, Tone. Then you could pick up the 5th-year option on him if you wanted. Because if it's still in the rookie year, there's a 5th-year option on that. Shit, man. Cowboys could get that guy for the next 3 years, paying him a rookie contract. I'd make that move. I'd give him, if I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'd give you my first-round pick. I might give you my first round and my second-round pick for Patrick Surtain to cover on Trevon Diggs. Now, will the Broncos do that? The Broncos are desperate for draft choices because would we not agree? Would you not agree? Holy shit. Patrick Surtain's base salary is $940,000. Yeah, Robert, we have our good friend Anthony Beck, who is part of the pre- and post-game show for the Jets and also does work for the Buccaneers. And he is the head football coach in the XFL for our friend Rock. He played a boatload of years for the St. Louis Battlehawks. That'll be at 5:30 Eastern. He's going to join us. If I'm not mistaken, I think he played 13 years in National Football League. I think the Cowboys should make a move for Surtain. Would the Broncos do that now? Do you think Sean Payton has given up on the 2023 season with Russell Wilson? Do the Broncos have a first-round pick in 2024's draft? Right now, the Broncos are favorite. It's too early, but the Broncos right now would have the first pick in the draft. Then you get the Cowboys. Do the Dallas Cowboys have a first-round pick in 2024? Cowboys will have a first-round pick, so you could get 2 first-round picks to redo your team if you're Sean Payton, and you could draft quarterback and a wide receiver in next year's draft and move on from Russell Wilson. And you could absorb the cap hit with his salary with a rookie quarterback in the building because he's on a rookie contract. If you're Denver, you're looking at this right now. Who do the Broncos have this week? They got Miami. They're not winning that game in Miami. They're going to be 0-3. They're going to be 0-3. The Cowboys are going to survive that Arizona game. They probably aren't going to they wouldn't look at that deal now, but they would go to them and go like this because Surtain's going to demand 20. What is the top salary that corners are making now? 20 million? I don't know do you sign Dak and Micah? And well, you can't franchise tag Dak because his deal's up. Or can you? I don't think you can. You can tag Micah. You can tag Micah, and the kid, Patrick Surtain, is still on a rookie deal for 2 more years, this year and next. See, to me, the team is Denver. It could be the Packers too, Jesus. That Alexander kid can play. Still got to pay CD. CD's going to get paid. That's right. Didn't he come out the same year that Devontae did? Or did those two guys come out the same year Devontae Smith did? I thought those two guys came out the same time. He's going to get paid. Scott's missing the point as usual. They would have 2 first-round picks. They would have a high first-round pick, and they would have a low-end first-round pick down in the late 20s. And you'd have a 1. You'd have 2 first-round picks, potentially 2 second-round picks to rebuild your football team in Denver. They don't have draft capital. How are you going to rebuild a team in cap hell with no picks in Denver and Sean Payton call himself a great coach? They've got the double-edged sword going on in Denver. They're in cap hell because of the Wilson contract. They have no capital in draft capital. You've got to redo 2 things. You've got to defer money out and get draft capital. Simple, dude. Now, but Howie's, I see somebody in here going, have Howie give them a first-round pick. Howie's not giving a first-round pick up. He's not desperate like that. He's not desperate. I mean, and Howie's not going to give up a first-round pick. Now, for Surtain, he might, but they're not in that desperate need for that. Look, you could go into next April's draft and get a second-round linebacker and find a guy who could play for you for the next 10 years. Why would I go after that? The Cowboys are desperate because they've got to fill that hole. Cowboys have to fix this. You're not going to, how about this? You're totally weakened with Diggs not being out there. And if the Cowboys were playing better than Philly, that closed the gap. Get this. Philadelphia closed the gap, not playing great ball, just going through the war of attrition. Think of that. The Eagles got better today than the Cowboys. They're not better, but they got better than the Cowboys. The Cowboys got worse today. Hey, were the Eagles worse in pass coverage versus the Vikings without having Bradbury out there? This is common sense conversation. That's right, Big Pickin'. That's a major blow to your chances at winning the NFC East. It's not like you're losing. Hey, and by the way, they're going to get that kid Smith back, I think, right? Offensive lineman. They're going to survive this Arizona thing. Denver versus Miami is going to tell you a lot about if the Cowboys make a move for that. Slade, Graham, Cox, Kelsey, all gone next year. Tons of cap. And why not have the Eagles trade for Surtain, especially if Bradbury can play the slot? So you think next week, if they're 0-3, Howie should make a call? What do you think of that? Let Prescott go. His career starting to look like Tony Romo's, and that's a waste of time if they don't go anywhere this year. Would Howie call? He called. Do you know what Andrew Berry and do you know what Jason Light told me about Howie Roseman? He inquires about everybody. So when someone goes, would Howie call the Broncos to look at Patrick Surtain? Your first initial comment would be no. But if you know and listen to GMs, they all do this. This guy, of the 1,700 players that are in the league, Howie pretty much knows who they all are. What is there, like 1,700 guys on the team right now, right? Like 1,700 guys that are on the 53-man roster. Howie knows pretty much every one of them and their contracts and shit like that. Okay? What he call? And then what that does also, get this, he could force Dallas into making this deal. All of a sudden, the general manager of the Broncos starts putting it out there that the Cowboys have, or the Eagles have contacted them after the 0-3 start for Patrick Surtain. It starts circling around the league because general managers like Tom Telesco and everyone talk to one another. Before you know it, you got the Cowboys who love that guy on draft day are calling them up going, here's 2 1s for him. And then the Broncos come out of it with 2 1s. That's how that game's played. You force a guy into taking or surrendering more picks so that when the April draft comes, you can't be that effective in the April. Personally, I take Patrick Surtain versus anybody coming out. Hey, that Kool-Aid kid down at Alabama is a good-looking player, but he ain't Patrick Surtain. Big Sills, do you think Jones would give up a first-round pick? He gave up a first-round pick for Amari Cooper. Absolutely. Remember, he gave up a first-round draft choice to the Raiders for Amari Cooper. Why wouldn't he give a first-round draft choice up for the best safety or the second-best corner in the NFL? According to some, they think it's Sauce Gardner. They think he's second. I like that kid, Horn, down in Carolina. I wonder what Carolina would do because they need O-linemen. One of those teams is going to deal with the Cowboys. Carolina's in the NFC, so I don't know that they would send a premium and a premier corner to Dallas. But if you remember something too, all right, they got a bunch of draft picks coming from San Francisco because they traded McCaffrey away, and they got a boatload of players. You could get yourself and Frank Reich in a pretty good position for April's draft with all these draft picks from McCaffrey and trading Horn away to retool that team around Bryce Young because you need O-linemen. You need O-linemen. Get this, though. Here, we're talking about the Cowboys here, but the Eagles totally benefit from this. Look, get this. The Eagles, Avonte Maddox is a terrible loss. Do we agree? It's a terrible loss. That Cowboy loss of Diggs is catastrophic. Okay? Avonte Maddox is a big loss. It's a big loss to the Eagles, depth-wise. But the Cowboy injury is completely catastrophic. I mean, which means you're going to panic. You're going to panic. Absolutely. Man, we got a ton of stuff to still hit on. Our good friend Anthony Beck, we're going to talk Buccaneers at the bottom of the hour, 5:30 Eastern time. And we'll talk some Jets. He does the pre and post game, believe it or not. He used to do it for the Buccaneers. He's a former Buck too himself, by the way, and former Jet. And he does the pre and post game. It looks like Carson Wentz is the go-to guy in New York with the Jets. So we're going to talk to Anthony Beck. He also is the head football coach and general manager. You know what? I'll ask him about that Patrick Surtain thing with Howie Roseman. He knows Howie very well because Joe Douglas and Anthony Beck are dear friends, and he knows Howie Roseman. So I'm going to ask Anthony Beck that question. That'll be at 5:30 Eastern time. Also, the XFL head football coach of the St. Louis Battlehawks. Man, they got like 55,000 fans each and every single game in the St. Louis for the XFL. It's one of the most successful franchises that's in the XFL. We will talk to our friend, 12-year NFL veteran, 5:30 Eastern time. Don't forget also, too, folks, we're in town next week, man. King of Prussia. We look forward to you coming out and seeing any of the Hooters. By the way, Hooters in football. That's what the fall's all about, too. Tonight, you get an opportunity to watch your favorite football teams. Maybe you like the 49ers and the Giants, what have you, but you love NFL. Maybe you don't want to go into any of the restaurants. Go to HootersToGo.com. Take the food home to your own stadium. Have yourself a great one. Don't forget, Tuesdays, buy 10 wings. Get 10 boneless free. Wing Wednesdays, 1983. That's the year the place was founded. All you can eat. Kids eat for free on Saturdays. 6 items, $6. Try the fried pickles. The iconic Hooter girls are there to serve you. It's one of the best environments. I love that menu, and I have forever. NortheastHooters.com. Find one of the 7 Northeast locations nearest you. NortheastHooters.com. And do me a favor. When you roll in, you tell them Big Sil sent you.
Football and Hooters, the perfect pair.